Welcome to the promo episode for Podcast Reviews Podcast, the podcast in which I review the reviews of my podcast. This is a promo, but it's also a full-length episode to show you kind of what the show's about and like. So if this is in your regular feed that you're hearing this is actually also going out to a bunch of other podcasts who are swapping promos in 60-second spots with me, so I put their promo on my podcast later. So this is a promo/episode to tell you what the show's about. If you already know, then thank you for listening and being a listener, but if you don't, my show called Podcast Reviews Podcast is about reviewing people's reviews of my show, Podcast Reviews Podcast. I go to iTunes, and every time I look at the reviews, I read and rate your reviews of my show about the podcast. I'm almost out of 60 seconds are up, so check out my show in iTunes, rate and review it, Podcast Reviews Podcast, and we'll see you next week.
How are you now?
Good, and you?
Not so bad. I'm Dean.
I'm Tiara.
And we are here with our good friend from the Womansplaining Podcast, Rae. Rae, how are you now?
Not so bad, and you?
Good. Good, you.
And that's where the McMurray thing came in, yeah.
Yes.
I know. It's so fun to say.
So, Rae,
Yes.
tell us about yourself. And tell us how you tell us about yourself, tell us about your podcast, and tell us about how you got into Letterkenny.
Yeah, sure thing. So, I'm from Salt Lake, and I started a podcast with a couple friends of mine, Cheryl and Melissa. It's called the Womansplaining Podcast. We answer listener questions from usually men, sometimes women, but about lady-related things. So it's kind of fun, sort of silly and irreverent. We have a lot of fun doing it. And how I got into Letterkenny it's actually a pretty funny story. I was having dinner with a friend of mine, and he's Australian. And one of our favorite topics to talk about is Australian slang, because I'm obsessed with slang. And he always had the best slang. And then I would want to know where it came from, right? Like he would say something and I would say, okay, but how did that evolve? It makes no sense. Like, where did it come from?
The etymology of slang words. Yes,
exactly. So we would talk about the etymology of Australian slang all the time. Anyway, so we were having dinner one night and he said to me, have you heard of the show Letterkenny? And I was like, no, I've never even heard of it. I don't, what is it? And he was trying to describe it to me. And it is the most impossible show to describe to anyone.
That's true.
So he's
very true.
He was trying to describe it, and I was like, dude, I don't know what what. And then he finally just said, it to me is like the epitome of comedy. Like, it's the funniest thing I've ever seen. It's so funny. So just please try it. And don't freak out when you watch the first episode. And I'm like, okay. So my husband and I went home, we started watching it, and we immediately were like, what did we just watch? What the fuck was that? And then we both said, well, it's kind of okay, let's maybe watch a couple more episodes and see what happens. And then 6 seasons later or whatever, we're like, this is the best show we've ever seen. We love it. We're super
So you guys
fans.
are recent fans.
Yeah, I would say we probably finished it within this year. It's been this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Excellent. Yeah, I could hear Derry or Squirrely Dan calling into the Womansplaining to the Womansplaining podcast asking for some advice.
Squirrely Dan would probably ask if Professor Patricia's was back there somewhere helping out.
Yeah, I was gonna say Squirrely Dan seems pretty woke. We would have him on as a guest to help us answer.
Oh, totally. He's very, and for the things that he's not woke about, he tries to learn. Mm-hmm. So he's very open.
Unless it's about farting.
where he doesn't have to go outside and farts appropriately.
Yeah.
So that's what we found last episode. So that's how we like to start off. We do a quick recap of the prior episode, which was them. They were trying to find out who screwed up the sled shack along the way, and they knew it was the Degens.
Those Degens. They're fucking trouble, those guys.
They are fucking Degens. And Squirrely Dan comes in and farts. and it was not farting appropriately, according to Wayne. But anyway, so the whole episode was really just about, one, that the degens needed to be handled for doing what they were doing. And let's see. Oh, and the finding out that Devin was gone and that the Skids found
that it wasn't Devin
it
that was
wasn't
stink
Devin.
bombing
It
their
was
place.
the girl.
Whoa! God, I love Roald.
Yeah, Roald is so great.
And it's also I actually almost wanted to do that episode when you guys asked me like, hey, if you wanted to do like 2 or 3. I was like, oh, Puck Bunny, that's such a great one. It's got all these good moments.
Right.
But then when I rewatched that and rewatched MoDeans 2, I was like, no, MoDeans 2 is a classic Letterkenny episode. It has literally everything you could imagine and want.
Mm-hmm.
It's perfect.
Right.
But Puck Bunny is a pretty close second good one. So.
Right, because that was the other thing, is that they had to handle the Puck Bunny issue with Angie. So Wayne's ex had to be handled with that situation. So, and then that takes us into we've got an opening of a new MoDeans, which that means we've got a bar back in the fucking town.
Finally,
which they've been
Jesus.
which they've been complaining about. So we start. So that's really kind of where that ended. Then we start with this one, the open, where they're out on the back porch. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I have a quick story about that.
Sure.
I listened to the episode that you guys did where they have the donkey juice, where they throw the party with Uncle Eddie's money.
Right.
And they're talking about making donkey juice, and it's like they have in their thing like butter schnapps, blue Caraco, and like peppermint whatever. And I was like, that looks like my liquor cabinet right now. Like, those are the 3 things, literally the 3 things that I have. And I'm pretty sure that like we have made some concoction of donkey juice with like leftover booze before. We have these. We had a thing recently we call them wounded soldier parties, where it's like when you get down to the the part of the liquor bottle that's as Wayne would say, it's all spit at that point. When you get down to that little part,
bottom inch of a beer.
Yep, you claim a bottle and you have to finish off that bottle because no one wants to have like a fourth of a bottle of blue Caraco left.
Oh my God. Please tell me you're still in your 20s.
No, I'm 32.
Well, 32, that's still, I think my early 30s were when that became a very, very, very bad idea. I broke up with vodka on my 30th birthday. And then a few years later, I broke up with everything pretty much else that was hard alcohol.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm definitely feeling it. I'm getting to the point where I'm like, I'll just have a glass of wine and call it good.
That's me now. That's,
all good.
2 glasses of wine, and I'm like the most friendly person you'll ever meet.
Love it.
I'm the most sleepy person.
On the like 3 occasions a year that, Dean even like takes a half a drink.
That just makes me sleepy.
Yeah.
So I just designated drive. That's all I need.
Which is good because I don't drive.
So anyway, we're on the back porch with your friends the other day.
With puppies.
Talking about the back porch.
Puppies. Yeah, we got so those are all the I wonder if those are Stormy's puppies. But anyway,
would it be that quick?
I don't know. I don't know. Could be. But anyway, there's some chatting going on about the back porch, out on the back porch, and we're on the back porch, and there's some talk about the back porch that because Squirrely Dan is talking about how they was talking to his lady friend who he took to the what was it, the truck, the taco truck or whatever it was,
the chip truck.
Chip truck, that's what it was. The one that stuck her finger up your bum. That's impolite to kiss and tell. He says, well, he goes, it isn't polite, but you are correct, Derry. That is her. And so Wayne says,
there's such a thing as too much butt talk, and a fella ought to be fucking aware of it.
So, yeah, he's too much butt talk, too much horn talk. Wayne is not having it. But of course,
so repressed.
Squirrely Dan plows through. And he said there's a matter of very much importance that he wants to discuss, which is...
Anyways, she was asking me about performins the anal sex on her. You guys ever do that? You ever takes the dirt road home?
Oh, they're euphemisms. Classic.
Oh.
I love how much that these are grown men who they're getting uncomfortable about straight sex.
Just
because it was the butt.
Just because there's a butt involved. Yeah.
Like that just cracks me up.
Right.
And I was that, but I was like, 25 years ago.
And well, then there's the whole discussion of the metaphors of what it's like between vaginal sex.
I had to leave the room the second time we watched this episode because I get weirded out with texture anyway, and all of the references to texture was making me very uncomfortable.
The difference between the chocolate, the Long John Silvers versus the what was it, the honey cruller. And the
loaf of bread versus the bagel.
Right.
Yeah. I love how uncomfortable this whole conversation makes me. Yes. He's like, no.
Yeah. Well, because Wayne
breaks him.
Right. Because Wayne ends off with
You don't like bagels? Nope.
Nope.
Nope. And I also, when we were watching it, I was like, Dean, you have to record that only because it's the only other place I've ever heard bagels referred to as bagels.
Right.
And
bagels.
the other place is Community, which was one of my favorite shows when it was on.
Right.
And they both have kind of that same like mix of intelligent humor with potty humor.
Right. Right. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Because and the whole bagels thing came up because he mentioned that Professor Trisha talked about, that it happens all the time, but she didn't mention if it was natural or not. So that's what got him into the bagel talk.
Is that pronunciation of bagels? Is that Canadian specific? I know you're from there, Ciara.
Well,
other than Community, I have never heard it referred to as bagels.
Because Derry said bagel.
Yeah, he said bagel a couple of times.
Good point. Good point.
So yeah, we go from that. So that's the open. Then we end up going to the kitchen. We end up in the kitchen, and Katie comes downstairs with Shep and Kingsley and asks to borrow Wayne's truck because she's going to take him back to the city. Because
for good,
for good, yeah. She's got the keys immediately. It's like as soon as she says, "Yep," take them back
those
now.
Keys. I love the way he holds that dog. That's just my favorite thing.
Yeah, he loves. That's it. That is his real dog in real life.
Oh, it's the fucking best. You can tell. Like you can tell that they just.
He loves Gus.
You know that scene in 101 Dalmatians where it's showing like that the owners look a lot like their dogs, like the owners are. That's like. That is Wayne and that dog. They're the same soul.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Jared Kiso in real life is he's a big lover of dogs. So yeah. It's not surprising, with with this show that he's got all the dogs in there. And then they have the whole discussion about how tubby they are. And
why was Katie dumping her two model boyfriends?
Right.
Just listen to them. But all they talk about is how tubby they are.
I knew yous were troubled when you walked in.
Which I then proceeded to start singing.
Yes. The puns.
I knew you. Yeah. And the way that cadence, the cadence and his dry delivery is just so perfect. But yeah, so she leaves with them and they have a quick discussion about the issue with Jivin Pete, which plays throughout this episode. Because they're talking about it. He says, I don't want to talk about it because bad gas travels fast in the town, et cetera, et cetera. Then we flip to the basement and they've got the girl in the chair and they're trying to find out who she is. And they have a whole discussion about who she is. And this conversation comes up.
Who are you?
I'm gay.
So am I.
No, you're not.
That's exactly what my father said to me.
That's like a classic, like who's on first sort of.
Yes.
Like
exactly.
Exactly.
Well, and it's like that kind of harkens back to The Weekend.
Who are you, girl?
About the week. The Weekend is here. Yeah, in 2 days, no, he will be here. Oh, I see. The Weekend is why is The Weekend male?
Yep.
So yeah, that's so that they
clever wordplay.
Yes, exactly. There's so much clever wordplay in this show. I mean, from beginning to end. So they have that whole discussion, and then Roald is just getting frustrated because about his father. He has to go call his dad, and you hear him. I love watching Gaze and Stuart's face as he's having this call with his dad.
Dad? Yeah, still a homo. You're the one who named me after the author of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Because and watching Tyler Johnston's face as Stuart, as Roald is having this conversation, you could tell he was trying to maintain his Stuartness, because he almost lost it. And I've seen some of the outtakes from the show and where they have lost it. And I bet this should be on a blooper reel somewhere because it's perfect.
I bet there were like several different types of conversations with Dad. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I was just going to say that the skits are probably my least favorite part of this show generally, but I do like the introduction of Gay as a character because I think she kind of mixes it up and makes it more interesting. But I also I love Roald and I love where his character goes. And
Roald is awesome.
The best. And like, my husband Ian and I say that all the time. Like, just, it's classic.
It's either that or it's Stuart.
Well, it's fun. And it's funny because, they're skids, they're meth heads, they're drug, but they're very smart.
Right.
Stuart is very smart. And Roald is still very smart. I mean, he's very naive, obviously. But Stuart, the words that Stuart uses, even though
he's got a bigger vocabulary and like he's constantly referencing Russian philosophers and like really obscure shit that I'll be like, wait, I feel like I've read something or heard something about that and I have to go and look it up and I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, this is the real story behind that. It's brilliant writing where you don't know unless you know.
Right.
And I love that.
And so then we jump to the locker room with Riley Jonesy and the hockey players.
Oh my God, the best.
Yeah, they're talking to the boys and they about they're not getting the W's.
Got to get those W's, boys.
Got to get the W, boys. And they want to teach them to chirp. And then Coach walks in, kicks the can, and says that he's got the issue solved because they now have a new teammate, which is Shoresy.
Oh my God, I love. Okay, the clincher of me deciding to talk about this episode versus episode 2 was because of Shoresy, because I fucking love Shoresy.
Shoresy's ass.
Also, I could look, 100%. I could look at his ass all day. He could get it. So
yeah.
Well, I mean, we're talking about Jared Kiso's ass, actually.
Absolutely.
So he is well fit. I will say that for sure.
You know how I am.
So
because he rips those reps, boys.
Ripping the reps.
Leg day. Never skips leg day.
While washing the ass.
Upside down.
Upside down. So yeah, that really kind of starts with the fuck you Shoresy, fuck you Riley, fuck you Jonesy. That's really the impetus of that whole, which carries throughout the rest of the seasons. Yeah. Which we don't know about the rest of the season.
We don't talk spoilers. Nothing has happened up until this point.
This is the latest episode. So yeah,
this isn't the first episode with Shoresy though, right?
No, it isn't.
No.
Yeah, he's been. But this is like where it really kind of takes off with the fuck you Shoresy, fuck you Riley, fuck you Jonesy.
Yeah, because in previous episodes, he had just been like a voice in the distance of like, fuck you, and then they would shout back at him. But now he's like an actual like character, even though you don't actually see his face. But,
exactly.
Give your balls a tug, you tit fucker, is the best insult.
Give your balls a tug, you tit fucker. And I love how high his voice is. for being such a badass. He's got such a high voice. Your mom squirted and threw off the pH balance of my fish tank. Kill my Japanese fighting fish.
Fuck you. Your mom liked my Instagram post from 2 years ago.
Tell her I'll wear my swim trunks for her again. So anyway, then we jump to the new MoDeans. So we've got MoDeans 2, and is
MoDean Gail's last name?
I don't know. We don't know that.
Because Gail is the owner, yes?
It could be.
I'm going to write that down. Writing that down.
She may have inherited it from someone. I don't know.
Sorry, go for it.
I mean, that's something, we'll have to find that out later on, maybe. But anyway, then they've helped her with doing some of the stuff. And they brought something in. I'm not sure what it was. I'm guessing it was the kegs that they brought in. They said, I thought that Jivin Pete. Well, no. And they another discussion about Jivin Pete. Then they hear a crash in the background. And what is that? I hired a couple of waitresses, and
she claps.
She claps, and out from the smoke, the smoke and fog of the kitchen comes Bonnie
Bonnie
McMurray.
McMurray.
and Derry and Squirrely Dan. I love. They're just like so enamored, and Wayne's just like whatever.
But everyone's thirsty for Wayne, though. Both Gail and Bonnie
Oh
McMurray
yeah,
are like,
everybody
And-
is. And Glenn,
Glenn.
who
And I love how Glenn and Bonnie McMurray go kind of like toe to toe real
Right.
quick. He like warns her.
you don't want to go toe to toe. Yeah, because that's the second waitress.
Yes.
Is Glenn, who's got his tips.
Okay. Full admission, never in previous episodes have I found Jacob Tierney attractive. This episode, when
He looks really
looks
good.
with the facial hair
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the blonde, and I'm really not usually into the whole like blonde tips thing, but
Right.
it worked
I'm
on him
feeling
really
it.
well.
I'm feeling
Really
it, Glenn.
nice.
well, and don't forget, Gail paid for that LASIK. So
Yeah, I got
Can
the LASIK.
can I get a Gail in my life? I really like some LASIK.
Yeah, she's made. I don't know where she's getting all this money from to rebuild the MoDeans and give Glenn LASIK. And,
Right. There must be
So,
something.
Yeah, something's going on. And
Maybe
with Gaylor.
maybe she had her own Uncle Eddie.
or
So,
some insurance fraud from the first MoDeans. Didn't it burn down? I honestly
It
Well,
did.
But
Okay.
the first, the first MoDeans burned down, and my theory is, and we talked about this before, was that it happened right around the same time Tanis was
yep.
burning down,
like the
quote
produce
unquote,
stand.
right.
And
So my thinking is Tanis had something to do with it. I could
Okay.
be wrong.
Yeah, maybe she just
that's
collected
a good
some
theory.
sweet insurance money then.
Oh, totally. That totally could be.
Mhm.
But yeah. So anyway, said some. There was also a new term in this part, which I couldn't find anything about. But she's talking about Haitian taco, and Squirrely Dan is that. I'm not sure if that's food or not.
And then
she's like, it's
and
just
then
for
she
Wayne.
says, it's only for Wayne. And he's like,
I'm
okay,
guessing-
it's not food then.
That's right.
But he's still like, I think he got something there. Like,
But then there was a would you rather from Derry.
oh, see, the would you rathers are. I'm an elementary school teacher. I don't need the fucking would you rathers.
Would you rather a bit of pee in mouth or a bit of poop up nose?
Wait, are we going to actually play this right now? Because I thought about this a lot. I thought about this
yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, go ahead.
Damn you.
Okay, I would go with a bit of pee in the mouth because I think Derry's right when he said, like, you know, if you have like, I think he says something like, if you have poop in your nose and then you have like snot and you like
There you
honk
go.
one back or whatever, however he says it, it's going to go down your throat and then you're
Down
basically
the hatch.
ingesting it. Yeah, down the hatch. So I'm like, if you're going to be ingesting it potentially anyway, I would rather just not smell that all the time. So I would go with pee in the mouth.
Yeah.
Well, not
And then
It's
if
only
somebody,
5 drops.
right, true.
not just that, but the sense of smell actually has everything to do with your sense of taste. So if you had a bit of poop in your nose, everything's going to taste like shit, literally.
Yeah.
Because the molecules that you're breathing in are mixing with blah, blah, blah. Anyway,
Yeah,
I'm with you on the pee thing.
Yeah.
totally.
And it could be that, you know, if enough water had been drank, it wouldn't be too horribly. It could be a bit
True.
diluted. So,
Okay, all right.
so whereas poop, you're not diluting poop.
Yeah,
True
you
story.
can mask the taste of pee. You can mask the taste of it for sure.
And I guess you could, if you drink a lot of Gus and Brew or Puppers, you know, the pee it would just be
May not change
Yeah.
the flavor too much.
Yeah,
Just a couple
exactly.
of drops, right?
right. So then we're back at the basement, and we're trying to find out why Gay is in the clown costume. And that turns out she had been kicked out of her parents' house back in the city to go live in Letterkenny with her aunt, because she's been a naughty girl, and that she's looking for asylum that but she wants to rebel in Letterkenny. Stuart asked her,
I'm here to rebel.
Give me 3 good reasons why you feel you must rebel.
I hate the world. I hate my parents. I hate myself.
so,
All right.
yeah. So, but the thing that kept coming up to me as she was saying that, and you know, how old is she supposed to
Thank
be?
you. I wrote down. I literally wrote an entire page of how old is Gay? Her parents shipped her to Letterkenny. It implies that she's young enough to follow her parents' rules. But then,
Right.
you know, we know that these characters are all at least in their early 20s.
Right.
And also, we don't know the future, but because
Yeah.
of future episodes,
Yeah.
God, please, I hope that they drop that part.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll get to that when we get after when we get to the thoughts and questions and theories. So back to the locker room. Riley and Jonesy are actually teaching the boys to chirp. and the topic is ugly. So they go through that. The boys are really bad at it. Then
And they have to take turns as always.
Right.
Speaking.
Yorkie.
Like when Boomtown tried to speak at a turn, they're like, what? Oh, sorry. Boomtown.
Ugly. So then after it was Riley and Jonesy are taking a leak, of course,
right.
and then Shoresy shows up to pee from 5 feet away because that's how you rock a piss.
Because that's Shoresy.
Because that's
It's how a
Shoresy.
real man rocks a piss.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Shoresy.
So going back to the chirping conversation in the locker room,
Yeah, yeah.
actually, so they tell the boys, the Letterkenny Irish, that the key to like good chirping is repetition.
Right.
And I thought that was interesting because I feel like that's the key to the comedy on the show. Like if you watch the show and you're a fan of the show, like so many of the jokes are repeated, which you think would get really old, but it's what makes it so good and what makes everything stick in your head. That's why it's such a quotable, like memeable show, because you hear like the same lines over and over, but they're so funny. And so I just thought that was really interesting. It's like the key to successful chirping, it's repetition. And then they decide they're going to like harp on that one topic, which is ugly. Anyway, so that was like interesting and kind of related to like the comedy overall.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Because, well, if you think about it, when we looking back at that episode about the Finding Stormy and Stud, and like Curtis had brought up the threes of everything, three things had happened with each person, so that is an ongoing thing with them. I don't know, it's, I guess in a way it's, three of each thing happening each time, kind of repeating itself. So, because we end up in the basement, I think 3 times, MoDeans 3 times, the hockey players 3 times. So I can see that. So it's a lot of the repeating of the, okay, here's where we're starting, here's what we're doing, and here's where we're going to end it. So it's like do a 3 acts and for each piece. So I can totally see that. So MoDeans, there's snow outside of MoDeans. There's shoveling snow. Because again, Jivin Pete was going to come through with his shoveler for the sidewalk shoveler. And then more discussion was had about Jivin Pete in front of Gail.
Which I totally, first time through it, I'm like, okay, wait a second. How did news travel? And because I totally missed that, that Gail was a part of that scene.
Right. And there's no telling if there was anybody else out and about,
Right.
So, because it was like when they were talking about, when he was talking about Ginger and Boots in that other episode when Glenn was riding his bike by and just happened to hear it,
And then spread it immediately.
Exactly. So then another, would you rather a penis for a nose or a vagina for a mouth?
See, at this
All right,
point,
are you playing again?
Yep.
Yeah, I think so. But I do have to say, Squirrely Dan at this point was the first time probably in this entire show that I was like, oh, fuck you.
Well, it's funny because he's the one who started to say, he said vagina for a mouth first. And then at the end, when they actually did it, he said penis for a nose.
Because
about not to have a mouth full of roast beef.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. That right there. I was like, really? Roast beef, really?
That's Professor Trisha is going to do a whole topic on that the next week in class. So he hasn't hit that one yet.
Because I would be all about the vagina mouth.
Yeah, I know you would.
I just feel like aesthetics wise, vagina mouth makes just more sense.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Unless you feel like always cosplaying is Squidward.
I just feel like if I had a penis on my nose, I would just be like
helicopter
yes,
head.
I would be like a baby elephant all the time, just swinging it around. I think it's a very, very bad idea for me.
Not for Gail though. She wants an extra horn at all times.
Oh yeah.
And she
but
loves
it's not
it
functional.
She loves it when a flaccid penis was bopping against her mouth. She basically made that reference to Way.
Yeah, she was just all the time on it.
Yeah. She would.
So then we're back in the basement with the Skids, and their attire has been updated.
Yeah, they've all kind of melded together.
Right. They
look like a new gang.
Right. So they have their overalls on with the clown blouse.
Mm-hmm.
And they have
rainbow colors with the black overalls. I love that.
And they are now a confab called
From this moment forward, we are a collective,
A confab.
a conclave.
A clam bake.
We are fuck you. Freaks acting crazy.
United.
I
United.
want to join. Fuck you.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
And so then they all go out. They have their masks on
They go do a little bit of mayhem.
and a little vandalism, correcting
Little petty crime.
correcting some grammar of how you
Yep.
which you're to spell.
Helpful vandalism, you know.
Yeah, it's always good to do a little helpful vandalism if you can. So
And I love how that scene really mirrored like A Clockwork Orange, just such a classic movie. And just that whole scene, like just walking as a gang,
mhm.
you know, even to like where they're sitting on the side smoking out of the vape, you know, instead of smoking cigarettes or joints. But I love I love that choice.
Yeah.
Because in Clockwork Orange, they were very immature, like hoodlums.
Oh yeah,
And yeah,
and
that's
only just about the violence.
and only just about the violence.
However, he did know a good bit about the Ludwig van.
He did. He did.
A little bit of the old Ludwig van. Anyway, we're back outside MoDeans. The Skids are leaving to head back, and as they're walking, they run into Jivin Pete. Oh, actually,
yeah.
before that, they're having a discussion about would you rather have mosquitoes around you all day or bed bugs on you all night? So,
But it was like a certain number. It was
It's
like,
like three.
three
Right.
bed bugs
Or three
mosquitoes.
Right. And for me, I think it would have to be bed bugs. Because
Oh, really? I think I'm feeling mosquitoes because I feel like you could repel mosquitoes easier than bed bugs.
Yeah, I kind of be with you on that one. Like there are some natural scents that will keep them from biting you, and there are certain foods that if you don't eat, they won't desire the smell of your blood. Whereas with bed bugs, you can't get that. I mean, ugh.
all
I don't
right.
want to be bit in my sleep.
Okay.
I already have a thing about that.
Maybe there's something you could eat that'll keep the bed bugs from biting.
I have no idea. I've never heard of something like that.
And actually, so see, the thing about this question is that, you know, Derry has neglected to consider the fact that mosquitoes are mostly nocturnal. So would there be mosquitoes on you during the day?
Well, from what I
Probably
understand, in that area of Canada during the spring and summertime, it's very humid, and
Yeah, that's true.
There are lots
There's a
of
lot
skeeters.
There's a lot of standing water.
Right.
Like,
So anyway, as they're walking out and having this discussion, they run into Jivin Pete. Jivin Pete calls Wayne out on the bad gas that has traveled fast to his ears, and he says, "You know what? You're right. You should have heard it from me." But and then he repeats it right to his face, and then after he knocks him down, he pulls his hand out to the side, stands on his hand, pulls his heads up, and
say you're sorry.
I'm sorry.
Don't honk at girls. And don't holler at girls.
And don't talk to them when they're not interested in talking to you.
And don't talk to them unless they're interested in talking to you. 10-4.
Over and out.
love it.
that is something that I'm sure you've said on the Womansplaining Podcast a time or two.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I find it's funny because Wayne's whole super honorable kind of white knighting, protecting his sister thing.
Yep.
Usually in shows, I find that to be kind of tired of okay, he's stepping in, he's defending the honor of his sister, he's beating up some guy. But I don't know, for some reason in this show, I'm it's charming. It's charming as hell.
Well,
I'm down for it. But I think
she
it's because
stands up
Katie,
to his.
Yeah, and she's all for it too.
Yeah.
Like she loves that her brother stands up for her, and she uses that too.
Right.
And she stands up for him just as violent.
She'll box kick Katie and Angie and Tanis all day.
Yeah. So. I think it's that contrast of, oops, sorry. I just bumped my microphone. Okay,
usually that's Tia.
That's
oh my god. I think that's the first time that it wasn't me. I'm
that's constantly
now.
when we're recording. There's bong, and then we have to wait for 5 seconds until the ringing stops. Anyway,
shut up, Dean. He's making a face. He's doing a thing. Don't do it.
But, the contrast from the episode before with Puck Bunnies, where Katie stands up for Wayne with Angie, right? She beats up Angie for Wayne. And so then in this one, he beats up Jivin Pete for Katie. And so I think it's more just like, that's sweet. They're siblings. They love each other. They like protect each other. It's really cute.
Yeah, It's not out of some kind of misplaced misogynistic chivalry where only the guy can take care of the girl can't take care of herself.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Katie's a badass for sure.
Yeah, and Wayne knows it. And like, what was that? He'll trust his sister about anything except for dating.
With any job a guy could do except for this one.
Which was the dating.
Which was the dating, yeah. Well, the talking about the sex and the politics at the dinner table. So then we're back at inside MoDeans. Everybody's dancing.
There's a whole lot more than just everybody's dancing going on there.
Well, that's everybody else is dancing.
There's music happening in the background.
Well, that's why they're dancing.
That's not everybody dancing. Everybody's at the bar, and the music is happening, and they're slowly joining the dancing. There
are other people. I'm not talking about Rae and Squirrely Dan.
I don't say everyone.
Everybody in the bar is dancing. They're walking in from just having the fight.
Yes.
If you would let.
No.
Please.
No.
Please and thank you.
No.
There's such thing as too much tiara talk.
No such thing.
Thank you.
Anyway.
Listeners.
So everybody is dancing as the crew is walking in, picking up shots from Bonnie McMurray. Right? Am I correct on this?
Yeah.
Okay. So then they sit at the bar.
She doesn't pay any attention to them except for when Wayne takes the shot and she looks at him as he's walking away.
Right. Then they sit at the bar. They all grab their puppers. Gail leans over for a kiss and he gives her a kiss on the cheek.
Which is so sweet. I thought that was really cute. I actually like this whole ending where they mix in some sort of sweet moments of the characters.
Right, and and Derry is the first one to get up and back into the dancing crowd. You know, like you was with the with St. Perfect's Day, and
finally gets a smile from Bonnie McMurray.
And he looks over at her and gives her the finger to come over. She smiles. Well, maybe later, maybe a six knuckler. Who knows? Yeah. And then
Glenn
at that point, Riley and Jonesy walk in, see Katie, and then there's some as they're going back and forth. You see Squirrely Dan holding Gail's hand coming over the bar to dance with her.
Glenn sees Joint Boy and Tyson and thinks that they're
right.
beckoning him over.
But no, it's the ladies behind him.
It's the two
and I do have a note. I said, poor Glenn.
Absolutely.
And then Bonnie does come over to Derry.
Yes. And they dance.
And then Katie dances with Riley and Jonesy.
Yes. And then Rosie gets there and Wayne and Rosie start dancing.
Yeah, Wayne's
before she got there. Yep.
Yeah, he's just kind of standing in the crowd, bopping along, and Rosie walks in. And then she walks over which is I found odd because in the first episode of the season, that she's talking about how they needed to find the D-gens and kick their ass, and then she wasn't there for the second episode.
Right.
But now she's here at the end of the third episode.
Right.
So, yeah, so it ends up everybody's dancing and everybody's happy.
Now, is it just me, or does the ending of this episode feel like it was meant to be like the end of like a season or something? Like it feels like they wrapped a whole bunch of stuff up and now they're having their little dance party.
It could be.
It did feel like that a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they were supposed to end at season 3 and then got more seasons.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it didn't wrap up everything, but it really had just the way they decided to end this episode felt like it was an ending, like a sitcom ending, you know?
Yeah.
Where everything got wrapped up into a nice little bow.
Yep.
Yeah, because also you've got Shep and Kingsley leaving. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it could very well be. But or at least maybe the one prior to the end, but
we're nowhere near the end of the season. We're like halfway through,
midway
right?
through. Yeah, exactly. So
Katie's back in that throuple with Riley and Jonesy where she's meant to be.
Yep.
Well, she's opening the door to it.
Right.
Like she smiles and they smile and it's kind of sweet and then they go out and dance. It's not out together yet.
Right.
But yeah, we all know that.
Right. And then let's see. What was the other? Because I did have another question.
We had the how old is Gail? And
right. How old is Gay?
Gay. I just said Gale.
Well, when you have a gay and a Gale that are so close.
Yes.
So yeah. Yeah. How old? I mean, yeah, because it's really odd that, she's been kicked out and sent to live with her aunt in Letterkenny.
Because of her behavior.
Right. I mean, I suppose if you are living at home, if you're living, I mean, even if you're an adult living with your parents, as we were watching Sean Spencer and living with his dad in Psych, who's when he's 30. So that's the other thing we're watching right now is Psych. So yeah, I suppose it's possible, that you could be an adult and live with your folks, but you're such a shit that they have to kick you out.
Yeah, but kicking you out is different from sending to your aunt's place in a small town. Like she basically implied the parents want her to shape up, and so they send her somewhere so she can shape up.
True.
But if you're a goddamn adult,
well, she may not have anywhere else to go. So they said, okay, we're going to kick you out of here, but we're not going to leave you homeless.
But she's basically said, think they can kick me out, I'm going to do worse here.
Right.
Like that implies to me that she's like trying to call a bluff.
Could be. I don't know.
What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I didn't really think that hard about it because I kind of I think it's that usual TV thing they do where they take an actress who's like in her 30s and pretend like she's 19 or 20. So I agree that she seems and looks too old to be kicked out of her parents' house and having to move in with her aunt and whatever and rebelling against society. But I would say like plot wise, I'm guessing she's in her early 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to think, and it brings in a little bit of spoilers, but to be fair, the character over time seems to age very quickly.
Yeah.
In future seasons, when we see Gay, it's pretty obvious that she's at least in her mid-20s.
Right.
So I think that they tried it out and then realized, well, maybe having her seem younger is probably not a good idea, and like aged her up a little bit because the connection between her and another character that happens later, it would be weird.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's some things that and that's not the first time they've done something like that.
Bonnie
like
McMurray.
Bonnie McMurray,
Yeah.
and there was somebody else that was like that, where it seemed like, how old are they? Are they, so, well, I mean, Derry's Sweetie at the in the first episode where they learned about dick dingers. So yeah, that was that whole thing. So, any other questions, thoughts, terms? I mean, the Haitian taco.
I think we've answered most of the questions. Yeah. Haitian taco, I really do feel like that was pretty strongly supposed to be Gail's
Gail's lady parts. Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Gail.
Specific though. Like she wasn't talking about,
her
like
own Haitian self-talk.
Yeah, exactly.
All right then. So then
then Stormy's puppies. Do you think they were Stormy's puppies in the open, or were they someone else's?
That's
another
a good question.
Dogs? Or how many dogs does he have that he breeds?
Well, there were 5 there. I mean, I don't know if there are other ones, but I think there were 5 pups. That's not a irrational number of pups for
no. But how many dogs does he breed? I mean, it's obvious that breeding Stormy's not his only breeding dog.
Yeah, I don't know.
The only dogs that I remember seeing are Gus and Stormy. Am I wrong?
Yeah, that's all. I don't know. I mean, yeah.
What kind of dog is Gus?
Boxer.
Gus is a boxer.
And we see multiple German Shepherds, one of which is Stormy, right? We've seen multiple German Shepherds, but he only names one of them.
I don't know. I'd have to go. I haven't paid close enough attention to the details of the dogs.
I just love anytime they're there. Anytime it opens with him holding a bunch of puppies, I'm on board with it.
Yeah.
100%.
All right. So let's get into Fuck Fight Ferda.
Yes.
All right. So
apparently everyone's favorite. We're starting to find out.
So yeah. So we're going to start off Fuck Fight Ferda. It's our own version of Fuck, Marry, Kill. But we don't believe in killing anybody on this show. But we do believe in fighting every so often when it's required.
It's one of the principal tenets of Letterkenny. There's just fighting of all time. Slow motion fighting specifically.
And there's definitely fucking going on there.
Oh God,
but a toe curling never hurt anybody, right? So we're going to start with Wayne, as we do. So
based solely on this
episode.
Yeah, I'd fuck Wayne. I mean, I would say that for probably every episode, but especially this episode.
Yeah, I sometimes say it, and in this episode, I 100% agree.
All right. Dairy.
Nah, I don't know. Snot stuff in the beginning. The snot rocket stuff and licking his lips.
This is a hard one. I feel like Derry was kind of annoying in this episode, so I think I might fight him.
Oh.
I don't know.
I'd probably Ferda. I don't know if I'd go as far as fight.
Yeah, I mean, that's hard. It's hard with Derry because I always am just like, aw, Derry.
I know. Usually it's just like, oh, you're just the naive friend.
Okay, I'm switching over to Ferda.
Okay. All right.
And don't feel any pressure to
conform,
to match any of our answers. I usually say fuck for everybody. So
Squirrely Dan.
I love that he is getting into and exploring his own sexuality,
right,
and things that he likes. And I love that he tries to help his friends kind of wake up a little bit.
Right.
But if he really thinks my vagina looks like roast beef, I don't know.
I still think I would Ferda Squirrely Dan just in general. I appreciate his efforts in Professor Trisha's women's studies class. I think he's trying.
Is that what you appreciate?
Hard.
That's what you appreciate.
That's what I appreciate about him.
Yeah, he's still pretty much my type. Makes me laugh, and he's cute as fuck. He's cuddly. Like, I can see him being both big spoon and little spoon. That's so my type. Oh my God. So yeah, just shit. What am I gonna? I'm gonna say Ferda in this one.
All right.
I'm gonna say Ferda.
All right, Katie.
Ferda.
Oh.
I think that's a hard one. I don't know. I kind of am the same with Wayne. I'm the same with Katie. I would probably always fuck Katie. I love Katie.
All right, then.
That's what Dean says too.
Gail.
I love Gail, but it's always almost, at least of any episode that I have seen to this point, I don't think I would go into the fuck category with her. So Ferda.
All right.
I don't ever want to fight her, except for like maybe once.
Yeah, right. She seems like she would probably kick my ass if I tried to fight her.
Exactly.
So I have a hard time with Gail because there are some episodes where she's really obnoxious to me. But I feel like in this one, I like the sort of like overt sexuality was toned down enough that I found it like, I was like, oh, okay, this is like funny. The banter with her and Wayne and how like, and like she says a line earlier where she's like, I was flicking more bean than a Starbucks barista, which is like so good. So I think for this episode specifically, I would say Ferda.
All right. Because they're always a package, Riley and Jonesy.
I love those dudes.
They're really trying. Yeah, right? They're really trying to like
they've definitely matured.
Yeah, they're at least trying to appear that way. They're
right.
wearing the suits before they go into every game and like actually like really caring about the wins, not being about the star.
Right.
And yeah, Ferda for sure, but probably for the first time since the series started, I'm starting to edge toward.
You're on the cusp of a fuck.
Cusp of a fuck. Let's see how much more they can grow.
All
We're
right.
almost there, buddy. What do you
think?
think?
Ferda for this one too. I love Riley and Jonesy, and I think you're right. I think that I think the interesting thing about this show is that I think a lot of the characters get more sort of woke and likable as the show goes on, and that's where like Riley and Jonesy are starting to head. And I like their commitment to the W's, boys.
Yes.
Yep. Is it's all about
them.
W's,
those W boys.
So yeah, Ferda for sure.
Got one Gino, but no W.
Well, each of them got a Gino, but no W. It wasn't just one Gino.
Right. And because they are a package, Shep and Kingsley.
Those dudes are annoying.
Even
I
don't
don't
care.
care. They're annoying.
Yeah, me too. I don't care how fucking cute you are, but if all you can talk about is how fat you are and you're half my weight,
tubby,
and I am the lightest that I've been since I was 18 and you're half my weight, don't you fucking dare. Don't you dare tell me you're tubby.
Although there is a part of me that's like, they have body dysmorphia. They need help.
Oh.
Oh God, yeah, they do. They're models. Of course they do.
I'd still fight them though, for sure.
Yeah.
It would be one punch and they'd run away.
Fuck out.
Yeah. All right. Bonnie McMurray.
Bonnie McMurray. I don't know if Bonnie's crossed over into fuck territory for me. I feel like it's Ferda.
She has to.
I'm very much in the Wayne category on that. You got to let the paint dry.
Sister. Yeah, she's she's still
that's his
so
statement.
young.
You got to let the paint dry on that one a little
She's
bit.
still like I feel like as it is, I feel like most of these characters are probably too young for me. And she's like,
yeah, with the exception of Squirrely Dan and maybe Glenn.
Squirrely Dan is probably about maybe just a year or two younger than me. I'm thinking like late 30s character wise.
Probably.
And the other ones are in like mid 20s. That's too young for me. Bonnie McMurray is like 21. Sorry, baby. I mean, go have some fun. Go, figure your shit out. In about 5 or 6 years, we'll talk.
All right, then.
I don't think about any of this at all, ever.
How about Glenn? Let's talk about Glenn.
If I had the genitalia that he was interested in.
Well, though, he seemed like there was, he might be willing.
Yeah. This is a conversation you and I had off radio where you were like, is he maybe bi? And my opinion on that is probably that he's not afraid or opposed to.
Right. I mean,
but it's not his favorite.
His spectrum isn't 100% gay.
Right.
But he's probably leans more that side of the spectrum. He's willing for LASIK to have a little Haitian talker.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're talking Kinsey scale, like where do we feel like he's falling on that?
I love that you just brought that up because literally that's what was screaming in my head.
Right.
I was like, don't bring it up. Don't bring it up.
No, because
Like,
Professor Tricia would bring it up.
Oh,
so.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Glenn for me, I think Ferda in this episode. I'm digging his, he's into himself. He's feeling it. He's got a new look.
Yeah.
He's excited. He's waitressing again, as he said. Ferda.
Which he enjoys, obviously, and should not be ashamed of.
Right.
Yeah. So, Ferda for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Ferda only because I don't think that I would be his
you never know.
If I was a part of a group that included more of his type.
That was in a hot tub?
That was in a hot tub. Future episodes. Probably might be a thing. Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
All right. Let's see. Coach.
It's fucking embarrassing.
He wasn't
that
in
moment alone where he runs in and kicks that garbage can. Oh, that
he loves
it's the
to
fucking
kick
best.
a garbage
And
can.
I've sent that GIF, whatever,
GIF.
Oh my
to
God.
like everybody
GIF.
I know a handful of times because it's
graphics.
the perfect image to encapsulate the emotion of raw anger. I would not want to fight Coach, so I'm gonna have to say Ferda for him.
All right.
Yeah, I'm Ferda.
Right.
I understand bringing in Shoresy for the wins, but Shoresy was on the junior team. So,
I don't know what he was
that's
on.
what they skated on before, and they knew him from skating.
I don't know what he was exactly specifically. I don't remember them saying he was on the junior team, so I'm not sure what he was.
Most of the time when we saw him in earlier seasons, he was like dressed up as a ref or just at the practice facility. So it could very well be that he was at a higher level. And
who knows?
Yeah,
we don't know.
That's a question.
Joint Boy.
Well, and they were together in this one, Joint Boy and Tyler. They should be a
Tyson.
package deal. Tyson, why do we call them? I know someone who looked like him named Tyler. You knew him too.
Good one, son.
Agree, right?
So I feel like they were just at the end, right? At the bar, like they didn't have.
Yeah, they were just at the end.
I
don't think they even had a speaking role.
Nope, they just beckoned toward Glenn
and
who
the Big City Snipes
saw it, but it was but then it was the Big City Snipes.
Big City Snipes boys.
I don't know. I guess Ferda maybe for them.
All right.
Yeah.
I guess if I was looking for a one night stand, I'd say fuck because they're both cute and
Both
literally this was
Okay.
This is literally like, just them calling someone over at a bar, So it was I don't think they were looking for a friend.
Hockey players.
They're all of them together? Whew.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
I
Get
could
after it.
neither
Be the
fuck
puck
nor
bunny.
fight all of them together as a group.
Be the puck
I mean,
bunny
I could
you want to
try.
be.
Right. I just bring out my inner puck bunny.
There you go.
I do kind of want to give Boomtown
Dirty
like a
Dangles
massage
boys.
or something.
Oh my God. Like Boomtown, that poor guy. Like, I love that it goes through the whole circle.
I love my mother like I love my wife.
Okay, so specifically for Boomtown Ferda, because like that guy seems like he's having a hard time.
Right?
Oh,
Right?
Poor Boomtown.
I do constantly though, whenever like I say, like I'll say something to my husband and then I'll go pussy because that's like my favorite.
Pussy.
I don't know why.
Fist.
The way he says it, it's like the pussy. It's so funny.
No, the way, and I like the way that Fisky says Boomtown because it's like
Boomtown.
Boomtown because the lips go because it's like air blows up in his mouth.
Yeah.
So he's got the boo. He definitely does a plosive boom.
You got to get the head tilt too. He goes like left,
Right.
straight,
Boom.
Boomtown.
It's ugly. So we're Ferda on the hockey players.
Yes.
All right. Does that include Shoresy?
Oh my God. No, I would
'Cause
fuck
Shoresy's-
Shoresy so hard. Do you see that
Oh.
ass? Dat ass.
I mean, as long as he doesn't try and crack a joke with me because I don't dig his sense of humor, I'd be fucked.
He doesn't have to
but-
talk. It's just psh.
Right. As long as he doesn't talk, I'm good.
All right.
I'm good. That would be the same thing with Joint Boy and,
All right.
and Tyson.
Okay.
Tyson.
All right. And finally, Gay.
She's so cute, but I'm afraid she's like 12. Or, not jailbait. I'll just say that.
I don't know. I think I would fight Gail. She seems like
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Or
Gay.
gay. Sorry, gay.
Gay.
Yeah, I think I would fight gay.
All right.
Ferda for now.
Ferda for now. Ferda.
Until
Ferda
she proves
Skids.
herself.
Exactly.
She's so cute. Yeah, she is adorable though.
Oh, right?
Yeah. I mean, and she.
I love her whole character arc.
Oh, yeah.
Spoilers. Her whole character arc, like down the line, and how it changes
Totally.
the lives of a couple people.
I was gonna say. I think
Totally.
I would Ferda her again. No spoilers. Like toward the later end of the show. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
All right then.
Cool.
So that's it. That's everybody. I mean, there's a good bit of fucking going on. A lot of Ferda, not much fighting. So even though there
This
was a
episode is
I
all
think
about that.
Yeah,
think
it's
most
all
of the
about the-
time. So when I was trying to think through, when I've heard past episodes you've done where you do this game,
right.
most of the time I don't say fight because I'm like, I don't think I could fight these people. Like they do so much fighting. You'd get your ass
Right.
kicked by
There was a
basically
recent-
everyone in Letterkenny.
Well, there was a recent episode. Tiara wanted to fight Squirrely Dan. I'm like,
Oh, shit.
what?
I don't.
Say,
Yeah, that one
what?
has not aired yet
No,
as
not
of
yet.
the recording.
Right. So
We'll
that'll
talk
be out in a
about
couple
that.
of weeks. So
Maybe that had some influence on why I'm
Yeah.
like still like roast beef lips, whatever.
We're still mad at him from 2 episodes ago when he said something.
It's very possible. It's very possible. I may or may not hold grudges. I don't know what you're talking about.
So Ray, real quick before we
Yeah.
finish things off, we talked about the Womansplaining Podcast. Tell us where we can find you.
Yeah. So you can pretty much find us on. Sorry, I'm gonna start that again. You you can pretty much find us on any podcast platform. We're on Stitcher. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. We're on Anchor. That's where we publish. Twitter, we are at TWPcast. Then we're the Womansplaining Podcast on Instagram. And then we are the Womansplaining Podcast at gmail.com. We're always looking for new questions from listeners or new topics to discuss. So if you are a male listener, if you are a Squirrely Dan out there and you want to know about lady stuff, please email us a question.
Do you used to have a phone? Do you still have your phone
We do,
number?
yeah.
For what's your voicemail phone number?
Oh my God, you're testing my knowledge now. Hold on.
Oh, I figured you knew it just off the top of your head.
Oh,
didn't
no,
mean
I
to
don't.
put
I
you on the
barely know my
spot.
own phone number. Hold on. Okay, let me.
I feel you.
Everything it's just stored in my phone now, so I don't have to keep it in my brain. Let's see. Okay. Or we have a phone number that you can leave a voicemail. It's 385-645-4717.
Excellent. Perfect. Yeah. So give them a call and let them know what your questions are. And
Yeah, don't be afraid.
yeah.
They will answer anything.
If you're a Squirrely Dan or a Dairy who needs some information about lady stuff,
Or a Wayne who's really embarrassed and won't talk to his friends
No,
about it.
Wayne would never do that.
Well, I mean, with anonymity, maybe.
Yeah.
No, he's too busy choring.
I mean, he did research all about ostriches
He did.
and if they could be fucked by a human because of this rumor that he'd heard.
Right.
So I feel like with anonymity, he would feel comfortable calling into a show and just being like, so I heard that you could do this thing. Is that actually a thing?
How's talking about how the butt sex feels?
Probably the butt sex.
I heard it's not about like going through some brie cheese, but it's more like going through some Swiss cheese.
Some Swiss cheese.
Yeah,
that's true.
I love the way he says
Cheese.
poop, because he doesn't actually say poop. He says.
It's like he's like, I'm embarrassed to say this out loud, so I'm going to say it as quietly as I can.
Well, he does say it like once at actual like, but it was when he was like fed up. He was like, I said you poop. Come on. Like it still was like a ew, but it wasn't.
I can imagine him calling into the Womansplaining podcast, and Kay. So
that's true. He'd be like, wait, what? Why is he mumbling so hard?
You would think it was McMurray calling you.
Oh, I got a question about
cunt. Slit Slam 2017.
I don't know. I feel like McMurray probably has most of the answers already. That guy seems knowledgeable.
Yeah,
that guy fucks.
He does.
I'm guessing that McMurray and his wife probably do a little amateur, makes money on the side.
They're in the lifestyle.
I don't feel like they would be embarrassed about that in any way. Although I think in future episodes that becomes more clear.
They've got their own channel up on Pornhub. Their own little.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's what I believe. I stand by it.
I'm all for that.
What's the word? It's canon now in my head.
Headcanon.
Headcanon, thank you. Sometimes I get.
Rae, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's been lovely to talk. Yeah, it's been lovely to talk to you again, and I'm glad that you realized that we're doing this show now, and you reached out because we had a great time talking to you over on Podsphere, and you've been fantastic.
Actually, okay, so funny story about how I found out this was you guys. Yeah. I was drunk tweeting, which I don't recommend that you ever do. It was like Friday night, I was drunk tweeting, and you did a follow Friday from Podskier, and I was like, oh my God, I love your Money podcast. And I was like losing my mind. And then I was like, oh, that's Dean and Tiara. Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, I'm glad it was you guys. When you said if you asked me if I wanted to come on and do an episode, I was like, of fucking course I do. I love that show. I love it. So anyway, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And thank you for joining the toughest Letterkenny podcast in the United States.
Berta.
Berta. All right, take care now.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to this episode of How Are You Now? If you like us, subscribe and give us a nice review. If you don't, well, we're not for everyone, but we thank you for listening anyway. If you'd like to contact us for any reason, we can be found on Facebook at How Are You Now Podcast. We can also be found on Twitter and Instagram at How Are You Now Pod and via email at howareyouNowPod@gmail.com. We'd like to thank our good friend Jack Rainwater from the Hard Money Saints for allowing us to use their music for our intro and outro. You can find them on Reverb Nation at Hard Money Saints. See you DJing soon.
It's been too long since baby's been to town. Treat you right. Give you all my money in the daytime and that good loving every night. I said